Hey, what's up, guys? So I'm going to be showing you my Sylvester Stallone collection. I've been meaning to do this video for some time, but I haven't gotten around to doing it. But now I'm going to show you all the films that I do have of Sylvester Stallone in this collection video, and talk about his films a little bit as well. So we're going to start off with this fourth film favorite Sylvester Stallone collection, which is really cool. We got Tango and Cash, which is a fun action film with Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell. And we got Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone and Wesley Snipes, which I really enjoy this film a lot. It's a really good film. Sandra Bullock is in this film as well. I think it's one of his best films that came out in the 90s. So yeah, definitely a fun action film and comedy as well. And now we have The Specialist with Sylvester Stallone and Sharon Stone. I don't remember much about this movie. It was okay, but it's not very memorable. Over the top, definitely nostalgic for me growing up in the 80s with Sylvester Stallone. I enjoy it for what it is. I like the cover. The cover's cool. But I mean, it's kind of silly, kind of looking back, you know, kind of watching it now. It's like the film is about, you know, arm wrestling as a sport. So it's kind of silly, kind of. I mean, it is kind of silly. But it's an enjoyable movie. I still like it. But yeah, nice set if you want to pick up, you know, a couple of his films. This is a nice set to have. So that's that. And then let's see, Lock Up, which is an underrated film in my opinion. Sylvester Stallone is, you know, stuck in prison, and it's a pretty interesting film. Of all the films like this, I'm not really big on these type of films, but if I had to pick my favorite type of film that had to deal with, you know, being in prison and such, I would pick this film out of all of the films out there. This is probably my favorite one because it's just kind of like, I don't know, kind of an action hero type of thing, but it's in prison. This is definitely better than the other film he did. Was it Escape Plan? This is definitely better than Escape Plan, and I find this better than other prison films like the Shang-Shock Redemption. It's not my cup of tea. But Lock Up, definitely an underrated film in my opinion. And now let's see here, another underrated film, which is Daylight. This is just part of a double feature with Dante's Peak, but Daylight with Sylvester Stallone is a very underrated film. It also has his son, his late son, in here, Sage, which passed away. He was also in Rocky V. He played his son in that film. But Daylight's actually a really good film. It's really underrated, and I enjoy that as well. So that's Daylight. And now we got Paradise Alley, which I have not seen this. I got this dirt cheap, and I just got for part of my collection of Sylvester Stallone. So at some point I'll watch this. It has to. I don't know what this has to do with. I don't know if it's boxing again or wrestling. It's about wrestling. Okay. Guess it's a little different. But Paradise Alley, I think this came out after the first Rocky film. So he's trying to capitalize on Rocky with another film similar, kind of like wrestling. And now we got the Expendable films. You got the first Expendables, which I really enjoy this series. I think it kicks ass. It's got a nice assembly of, you know, all these action stars, you know, from the 80s and 90s, and you know, it's great to see all these guys and all in one film. So I enjoy the Expendables, all three of them actually. Expendables 2 and Expendables 3. I enjoy them all. I mean, 3 isn't the best in the series, but I still enjoy it for what it is. Let's see here. This film, Cliffhanger, to me, in my opinion, is a little overrated. Because people talk pretty highly about this film. And I think it's okay, almost to like mediocre. I don't think it's Sylvester Stallone's best film. You know, as far as like action or anything that came out in the 90s, this, you know, this wasn't, you know, his best, in my opinion. I think Demolition Man was better than this. I mean, it's okay. John Lithgow's acting in this was just a little too over the top. I didn't mind Sylvester Stallone's performance in this. I mean, but it's just, I don't know, the villain. I mean, I like John Lithgow, but it's just his performance was just too much for me. It was just, it felt like he was just phoning it in. He was just over the top, and he wasn't. It wasn't his best performance I've ever seen from him. He can do a lot better than this. I mean, I've seen him play crazy villain type of roles, or, you know, or even just playing crazy type of people. And, you know, he's a really talented actor, but in this film, I just felt like he was phoning it in, and he was just kind of just over the top with his performance. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Cliffhanger. So yeah, okay, but I've seen better from Sylvester Stallone. But let's see here, Copland, which is a decent film. It's a, you know, it's basically just about corrupt cops, basically. And Sylvester Stallone is, you know, basically, you know, he's taking charge and taking names, basically. You know, he's cleaning up the corruption, basically. It's a pretty decent film. You got Robert De Niro in here as well, and Ray Liotta. A few other people too. I believe Peter Berg's in this film as well, which is pretty cool, from Shocker. But yeah, Copland, decent film. Oscar, it's a comedy. I saw this in the theater when I was a kid. It's okay. It's not the best comedy in the world, but I will say it's a lot better than Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. I do not own that film in my collection. I don't know if I want to own that film in my collection. At one point, I had a chance to get Stop or My Mom Will Shoot on DVD, but, you know, I think that type of film, the only way I would buy it if I saw it at the pawn shop for like 50 cents. I mean, it's just one of those films. I guess I would add it to my collection, but, you know, if the only way I would probably get it if it was dirt cheap, and if I don't have it in my collection, I don't have it. You know, it's not a big deal. You know, it's not really that great of a film. I would only buy it just to be part of my collection of Sylvester Stallone. I don't have Rhinestone either, although Rhinestone is a lot better film than Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Stop or My Mom Will Shoot is like the worst Sylvester Stallone film ever made. I mean, I haven't seen Spy Kids 3D, but I'm sure that's better than Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, because that movie was terrible. Terrible. So So Oscar, decent comedy. It's fun for what it is. And let's see here, we got Avenging Angelo, which it's okay. You got Madeline Stowe in it alongside with Sylvester Stallone. It's okay. I think this was a direct-to-video film. I See You, which I believe it originally was titled Detox, but they changed the name. I think I See You is more intriguing and more interesting than Detox. But that's another direct-to-video from Stallone. He started kind of doing some direct-to-videos before he made a comeback with Rocky Balboa, but I don't remember a whole lot about I See You. I remember Stallone wasn't really being a tough guy like he normally was. It was kind of like, really, dude? You need to toughen up a little bit in this film. I don't know. He just wasn't being your typical Stallone, type of character, Where he's, being a tough guy. He was kind of, I don't know, he seemed kind of weak in that film, to be honest. Shade I've never seen. I don't know if it's any good, so. But yeah, still a cool little collection. Then we got Bullet to the Head, which is okay. I mean, it is what it is. It's badass to see Stallone kicking ass at, in his 70s, so it's cool regardless. This is probably his last interesting film that he did, as far as like that was separate from like Rocky or Rambo or anything, doing a separate, different kind of film. So yeah, I really enjoyed this flick. I thought it was a decent action film from Stallone. So yeah, I enjoyed Bullet to the Head. So there you go. And then we got Assassins, which Antonio Banderas and Julianne Moore, was in this film alongside with Stallone. And Richard Donner directed this film, which he's best known for, the Lethal Weapon films and Superman the movie and The Goonies. He's a good director. So yeah, decent action film. Yeah, so I enjoyed Assassins. And then we have Victory, which I have never seen this film. I know it has something to do with soccer, so they're playing soccer. And Michael Caine is in this film as well. I don't know a whole lot about the film. I think it has more to do with than just soccer, but that's all I really remember about it. Because I did see like little clips of it, on television, but I never watched it, the entire film. But I got this at the pawn shop, dirt cheap, so it's part of my collection. So Victory, at one point I will watch that film. And then we got Grudge Match with Robert De Niro and Sylvester Stallone. And it's basically just retired boxers who come back out of retirement and fight each other, basically. And you also got Kevin Hart in this film and Kim Basinger, which is pretty cool. I thought it was okay. I mean, it's mostly just a comedy, some drama elements to it, but I thought it was decent. I mean, it was not the greatest thing in the world, but it kept me entertained. I basically just got this for $1 at the pawn shop, and I thought it was a pretty sweet deal, to be honest. I mean, to get this film for $1 and it's on Blu-ray, you can't really go wrong with it. And it's Stallone, so why not? Let's see here. This is Creed 2, which my good friend Stallone Rivera got for me for my birthday. And this is a really cool flick. I do have Creed, the first film, somewhere. But yeah, Creed 2, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was better than the first Creed film. But Creed 2, pretty cool film. Saw that in the theater, really enjoyed it. Death Race 2000, this is a really early Stallone flick. It has David Carradine in it, which is pretty crazy. I've never seen this. I've only seen the remake. But, yeah. You see that? Clearance, 49 cents. Yeah, pawn shop. Got that at the pawn shop. Pretty cool. But one of these days I'll see it, just to check it out. And I have a pretty good idea what it's about since I've seen the remake. Nighthawks with Sylvester Stallone and a few other actors in this film. You got Billy D. Williams, Lindsay Wagner, and Rutger Hauer, which is pretty cool. So, I did see this film. I remember being interesting, but I felt the finale could have been better. Like, could have been more epic, maybe. Maybe I was expecting too much from this type of cast. But I have to give it another watch, but it was decent. It's just the ending could have been better. And now we have Cobra. Crime is a disease. Meet the cure. This was a decent film, actually. I actually do enjoy this film. It's a decent action film. It's underrated. I will say it's an underrated film from Sly. It's pretty fun. Will I say it's the best Sylvester Stallone film ever? No. His best film to me is Rocky IV. If you wanted to ask my opinion, what's my favorite Stallone film? It would be Rocky IV. Hands down, that's my favorite film of his. Because that's what I grew up with. I saw that in the theater when I was a kid. And that's my favorite one that he's ever done. And, you know, this is a good film as well. You know, I remember the promotion for this film when it first came out, and it was pretty exciting, and I like the cover. The cover art is pretty cool. You know, it's a pretty cool action film. I will admit it's a decent film. It's a fun film. And then we got Escape Plan with the two icons, Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I enjoy their films, you know, especially, you know, Arnold. At some point I'll do a collection video of his as well. But I enjoy this film. You know, it's a fun film. It takes a little while until Arnold shows up in the film, but I did enjoy this film. My only issue is the sequels that followed. I felt they were unnecessary. The direct-to-video Escape Plan 2 and Escape Plan 3. I just didn't... I don't know. They were unnecessary. They really were just cash grabs. Really. I mean, the second film was... I mean, it had some interesting parts when Sly showed up and, you know, was fighting and stuff. That was cool, but, you know, we didn't really need sequels to this, you know. And the third film, I mean, it's pretty forgettable. I didn't care for the third film at all. But second film, I mean, I guess I could watch it, but they really were just unnecessary. But the first film I did enjoy. So that's Escape Plan. And then we got Rocky Balboa, which is the 6th film in the Rocky series, and I saw this film in a theater. It was really fun experience seeing this in the theater. I've seen several of the Rocky films in the theater. I believe I've seen Rocky 3 all the way up to, Rocky Balboa. Those are the ones that I remember seeing in the theater. But yeah, I mean, Rocky Balboa, great bookend to the Rocky, series. I thought this was a great way to end it. So yeah, good film. And this is Creed, which is a spin-off from Rocky. I enjoyed this. It's kind of like Rocky for a new generation, but this is, Creed's son, so it's like, continuing the Rocky, series, but with, a leading character that is, Creed's son, and Rocky training him, and I enjoy it. I really, I like, Creed and Creed 2. I mean, I didn't think it was possible to continue on the story after Rocky Balboa, but they've done a pretty good job. And from my understanding, they're supposed to make another Rocky film. There's in talks of another Rocky film. There's in talks of a TV series where it's like a prequel of Rocky before he became, the champ, It's interesting that, he's moving forward with, another Rocky. He's going to be training another person. So, it's interesting. I don't mind seeing more Rocky films. I love the character. I love the film. So, I'm not against seeing more films of Rocky. Driven, which, it's okay. It's kind of like Sylvester Stallone's attempt to do like a Fast and Furious type of thing, but I don't think it really panned out for him. Because this film gets, doesn't get a whole lot of love, let me tell you. Not a lot of people talk really great about this film. I thought it was okay. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I don't think there's really any Stallone film I really hate. I may dislike them. Like, for instance, I don't like, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, but I can honestly say I don't hate any film I've ever seen from Sylvester Stallone. I can say I don't like some, but never hate any of them. Spy Kids 3D. Game over. Yeah, I've never seen this. I got it at the pawn shop, and the only reason why I got it because Stallone was in it as the main bad guy. From my understanding, I'm sure the movie's terrible, but it's part of my Stallone collection, so why not? And then we have Get Carter, which is a remake. And this has a few people in here. Yeah, it's got Michael Caine. I figured he'd be in this. And Mickey Rourke. Yeah. It's like, Hitman type of thing, I'd rather watch this than watch The Godfather. Or, I would rather watch this than, what's that movie? John Wick. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. This is more entertaining to me. I'm not a big John Wick fan. Godfather, overrated. It's just not really my thing. I mean, I respect it, but it's just not my thing, some of these films are hitmans or gangster type of related type of films. They're so overpraised, and I just don't get the praise. I really don't get it, you know. And to me, you know, I'd rather watch Get Carter or, you know, films like that. They're just short, simple, to the point. Not have to sit through 3-4 hours of a film like the Godfather series, or, you know, even John Wick. You know, I'd rather watch Death Wish. You know, some of these hitman type of films or vigilante, you know, type of films, it's just not my thing. You know, I'm not really big on them, and you know, this is like a rare occasion where I don't mind them. Alright, let's see here. Rambo collection. This is all 4 of the films. If I can get it out. That's pretty cool. First Blood, which is a really great film. My favorite in the series. Then you got Rambo 2, which is Rambo First Blood Part 2. There's a bunch of stuff in here. You got Rambo 3. Then you got Rambo. It's kind of confusing. Why don't they just call them Rambo 1, Rambo 2, Rambo 3, Rambo 4? So yeah, First Blood, Rambo First Blood Part 2, Rambo 3, and Rambo. I like them all. The weakest one is Rambo 3 in my opinion. I've never seen the newest one. I haven't seen that one yet. I plan on seeing it soon though. Rambo Last Blood. That's a film I would really like to see. And this is like one of those things where, you know, when it comes to war type of films, this is like my favorite. Out of all the, you know, the war type of films out there, this is my favorite one. Is Rambo. And you know, I've seen, you know, some, you know, war films. I've seen Saving Private Ryan. I've seen Full Metal Jacket. You know, I've seen those films, and you know, to me, Rambo is my favorite because it's like an action hero type of, you know, guy. It's kind of like, it's almost like a superhero in a way. He's just blowing people up, you know, these bad guys. And I do enjoy, you know, missing in action. I think that's pretty cool. From Chuck Norris. There's a couple war films are okay, but I'm more, you know, I find it more interesting when it's like from like it's like they make them like these big action star type of, you know, war heroes. Like it's kind of like over the top, and it's not really, it takes you out of like the realism of it, because like movies like Full Metal Jacket, it's more realistic, it's grounded in reality. Rambo isn't really grounded in reality too much. It's more like a big, you know, muscle bound, like superhero type of guy that's just, you know, he's just kicking ass and taking names. It's just one of those things that I prefer watching something that's a little more unrealistic than watching something that's more realistic, like Full Metal Jacket, Saving Private Ryan, where people are getting killed and it's so realistic and it looks so real. It's just like, I feel like I'm watching, you know, in person. You know, that they make it so real. It feels like you're really there, like you're watching these people dying and getting killed and blown up, and you know, limbs everywhere and stuff. It's just one of those things where it takes me out of it because it's too realistic. You know, and that to me is not really entertainment for me. When it becomes too realistic or the characters are not relatable. Rambo is a relatable character, especially in the first film. Very relatable character. Everyone can relate to the first film. And the sequels were more like just, you know, action superhero type of stuff. This Rambo, the fourth film, was more like they were trying to get some realism, but it's still over the top. He's still kind of superhero-ish still. I'd rather watch something that's more like this than watch something that's more like, you know, with war films that are more grounded in reality. To me, it's hard to watch. I'd rather watch this. You know what I mean? This feels like it's, you know, it's not real. It's more like a film, you know. And those films like Saving Private Ryan, they're hard to watch because it feels like, you know, you're really there seeing these people, you know, getting killed. It's not pleasing to the eyes. It's not, to me, it's not really enjoyable to watch. It's too realistic. It's too grounded in reality. I'd rather have where it's more, you know, where it's less realistic and more entertaining. That's just me. So that's Rambo. And it's a cool set. I would recommend this set. Definitely. Or the Blu-ray. They have a Blu-ray of that same set. Now we got Rocky, which is a cool set. This is like one of the first box sets they had of all the DVDs. And I like the gloves. It's pretty cool. Nice touch to it. And we're going to show you all 5 of the films. So we're going to start off with Rocky, the first film, which is an excellent film. It's really well done. I mean, I love all the Rocky films, and you know, Rocky, the original film, is you know, a lot of people's favorites, and I understand. You know, it's hard for me to pick which one is the best one because it's like a continuing story, you know. So it's like all of them are good in their own way. But if I had to pick a favorite, it would be Rocky IV, because that's the one I watched the most when I was a kid, you know. And it's the more simple one. It's, you know, when it comes to story and stuff, it's a little more simpler. You know, the other ones are more dramatic and they have more layers than Rocky IV. But for some reason, I still enjoy Rocky IV the most. I don't know why, but they're all good. But, you know, when it comes to Rocky films, you know, they're really well made, and basically Rocky is, you know, as a story, as a character, you know, it's basically Rocky is a handbook to life, really. It has a very deep message. It has layers upon layers of, you know, character development and rich story that is still rich to this day. You know, we are up to Creed 2, and that's like, what, the 8th film in the, you know, the series, because I mean it's extension of, you know, Rocky. Even though it's, you know, ended in Rocky Balboa, it's still, you know, Creed is still an extension to the story of Rocky in some form. So it's just one of those franchises that it never gets old. You know, it's every time I watch it, it's always, you know, feels like I'm watching it for the first time. You know, it's such a good series of films, and I love all of them in their own way, you know. So Rocky, you know, great film. It's a great it's definitely it's a classic. I wish this film, you know, got more respect and more, you know, recognition than other films like The Godfather. I mean, this deserved more, you know, Academy Awards, Golden Globe Awards. I mean, he should have got an Oscar for this film, definitely. I mean, Sly is definitely underrated when it comes to his acting ability. He can act. You know, he's definitely a really good writer. So, Rocky's a really good film. Rocky 2 is another great film as well. It's kind of, they're kind of like, almost the same film in a sense, because he's fighting, you know, Apollo Creed once again in Rocky 2. So it's kind of like the next day almost after the fight of this film. It's like, next day, Rocky 2. I mean, of course, it's, you know, a few months later, but it feels they Rocky 1 and Rocky 2, they kind of feel like they're kind of similar in ways, because he's, you know, this is a rematch with him and Apollo Creed, and of course Rocky wins this time. He doesn't win in the first film, but in part 2 he wins. But it's just, you know, more character development, more of extension to the character, so it's fine. Rocky 3 definitely tried to change it up a little bit with the drama. Definitely, you know, and they definitely changed it up. You know, you got, you know, Hulk Hogan's in this, you got Mr. T's in this, you know, it's pretty cool. I mean, sometimes it's hard for me to determine if I like, you know, I can't decide if I like Rocky 3 or Rocky 4 the most, you know, because to me, Rocky 3 and Rocky 4 are like really solid, you know, really good Rocky films. Those are the ones that I watch the most. But I still like Rocky 4 as my favorite Rocky film, and my favorite Stallone film. But Rocky 3 is a really good film. Rocky 4, my favorite in the series. I love the cover. It's just cool. It's a really cool movie. Yeah. I just enjoy the flick. I saw this in the theater when I was a kid, and it was, you know, I was a big Rocky fan. Still am to this day, but I was really liked Rocky when I was a kid. And then we got Rocky 5, which, when I first saw this film, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty disappointing. It was very disappointing when I first saw it. And I saw it in the theater. I'm just like, really? This is supposed to be the last film, and this is how you guys ended? And it was kind of disappointing, because it's like Rocky lost his fortune and fame. He lost his house. He went back to where he used to live at. He had brain damage. He's having problems with his family. You know, he's having problems with his son. He's ignoring his son. They got this Tommy character that, you know, Rocky's training, and he's paying more attention to Tommy than his son and his wife and his family. It's like, it just keeps like, it feels like the movie's just like going downhill. It's like Rocky's losing everything, you know. But it does redeem itself towards the end. I will say the best part is towards the end. I like the interactions between him and his son, you know. But the best part is probably that fight at the end. Even though at the time I was disappointed by it because it wasn't in the ring, because the other films he fought in the ring, but I thought it was pretty interesting, him street fighting. You know, Rocky street fighting Tommy. It was pretty cool. It's a cool, pretty cool fight at the end. It gets you pumped, and you know, it gets you into it. It's definitely it's a cool fight. So it does have some redeeming qualities about it. There's some scenes that are really good, like the Mickey scene. You know, in the very beginning, you know, Rocky goes to the old, you know, gym that Mickey owned, and you know, the whole speech with, you know, Mickey. You know, Rocky's having these flashbacks with, you know, remembering the past of, you know, Mickey training him, and Mickey says that, you know, famous line, you know, "Get up, you know, SOB," you know, because Mickey loves you, you know. It's a pretty powerful scene, you know. It's probably my favorite speech from the Rocky series. It's a really motivational speech and really, really strong. It has a lot of deep layers to it. Yeah, so there's some redeeming qualities about Rocky V. It's just disappointing compared to the other films, but I respect it. I mean, it's still not the best in the series, but there's some good things about it. It's not a complete failure or anything, in my opinion. It has some good qualities about it. It's just not the best in the series. But anyway, yeah. This is pretty much my collection of Sylvester Stallone. I do have Staying Alive, which he directed, and he has a small little cameo in it. I mean, like, if you don't blink, I mean, if you blink, you'll miss him, but if you don't blink, you'll see him. But he's, for a second, you see him. Turns his head. But I'm not going to include that in this collection video, just for a brief, quick second of seeing Sylvester Stallone's, you know, little cameo in Staying Alive. But I do have the film because I liked Saturday Night Fever, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, this is my collection of Sylvester Stallone. I hope you enjoyed this collection video of Sylvester Stallone that I have, and I will probably do some more collection videos later. Yeah, we'll see how it goes, you know. But anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. Take it easy.